Hi everyone, welcome back, and happy 4th of July to all you guys that are here in the United States celebrating it. Maybe if you're abroad and you're an American citizen, happy 4th of July to you guys. So I had really no plans today. My wife and kids are in Europe right now, visiting their family, so I have time to myself. I figured maybe we'll do this one today at around noon for anybody else that's in different time zones and things like that watch the show. That way it gives them an opportunity as well to come in and chat and ask questions as well. But here's what we got on today. Bitcoin's still coming down in price from where it was yesterday. We'll take a look at what's going on. Bitcoin miners are not trading today because the markets are closed today. And then we'll take a look at Bitdeer production updates along with Hut 8s and Terawulfs. And then we'll get into you guys' Q&A side of things. So should be pretty easy. All right, but as always, you guys know the drill. Not financial advice for entertainment only. Please do your own research. And my full disclosure here for you guys as well. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. So let's take a look at what's going on here with Bitcoin right now. And Bitcoin, as you can see here, went even down further overnight. It's bounced back a little bit here, which is kind of nice to see, but I kind of wish that would actually go down even more. It hit a low today of 56,709, right? We had our support line here at about 57,500. It went below it and then bounced off of that. We're now back to trading close to the 200 simple moving day average. On the green bar here, we're pretty close to that. If we look at the RSI is right around there. It's the same spot we were back here on April 30th. Right around there. Yeah, actually it was May 1st. Right, Bitcoin did the same thing here. Kind of came back down to that same level almost where it reached today on the low side of things, but it bounced off of that, then we went back up. For this reason, I would like it to maybe Bitcoin to come down to and test the 53,500 mark somewhere around here, which is our green line down here, next support. And then that way we would get the RSI even lower potentially, and then we could have a nice rally going back up. I think that would be healthy, but we'll see where we go from here. But that's kind of what I'm looking to see. Maybe if that happens, I think that would be a good sign. Okay. Like I said, the miners weren't trading today, so there's not much going on here, but we'll see what happens with Bitcoin going forward. Long term, I'm still very bullish on Bitcoin. I think in the meantime, we're going to have some of these dips where we go down 20, 21%, 23%. At least that's what's been happening here in the last year and a half or so. Whenever Bitcoin does do a little dip, it goes down about that much. We haven't seen anything major here, so it doesn't look like it's going to be anything here as well. And if we do go down, what have we gone down from here? We've gone down approximately here 20%, right? If we go down here, we're looking at about 25% or something like that. So even if we go down 23, we'd be looking at like 55,000 maybe, somewhere around there as well. So something to keep an eye on, okay? But let's get into the stories that we do have here. First one's going to be on Bitdeer here. So Bitdeer announces June 2024 production and operations updates. And here's what we have here. So significant increase in global contracted power capacity now to 2.5 gigawatts. Okay, that's great there. Initial sample shipments of SealMiner A1, A6 installed and energized at Bitdeer sites. So they're getting those for testing, and they do have an order for those as well. So that's good to see there. They completed the tap out of CL02 chip, targeting 14 joules per terahash, so that's good there. And they're on track to deploy 3.4 exahash of SealMiner A6 in Q4. Okay, so they're still on track for that, which is also a good sign here. Self-mined Bitcoin 179. Let's go down here. Here we go. Self-mining now is at 7.3. In May it was 6.9. They keep kind of going back and forth between self-mining and cloud hash rate, I guess depending on whatever is more profitable for them to do. But you can see here we got the drop, or yeah, pretty much a drop here, or an increase in self-mining, but a drop in the cloud hash rate. I also think that they are including the cloud hash rate revenue, the Bitcoin that's mined there, in their BTC numbers, the 179 here. Because if I use that number and I use just the 7.3 exahash, I'm still way off on my numbers for the revenue side of things. The revenue doesn't match up. So that's why I'm thinking they're using the 1.2 as well. And I think I added it in there for this time just to counterbalance it and kind of equal it out, right? So that's there. Let's see what else do we have here. You can see all their sites here, what's online right now, what's in progress. They have plenty of megawatts to build out in planning and everything else. So total pipeline capacity, 1.6 gigawatts. Total global contracted capacity, 2.5. So they got plenty of megawatts to build out into the future here, which is nice to see for them. Let's see if there's anything else. There isn't. Okay. Let's look at my spreadsheet here. So Bitdeer has about 117 million shares outstanding. Stock price as of yesterday was $11.83. Market cap 1.3, almost 1.4 billion on them. And they've had a really good run here in the last 12 weeks. They're up 43% from 12 weeks ago. They're up 86% from 8 weeks ago, 40% from 4 weeks ago. And then last week they were up another 7.89%. So they're like one of the better performing here miners here in the last 12 weeks. There might be a couple other ones like Terawulf, I think, has done really well here as well. Hut 8 also, which we'll talk about. And there's been a couple other ones as well. But current hash rate, 7.3, future hash rate about 11, right, which coincides with what they're saying that they're going to be doing. They don't hodl anything here. Their Bitcoin production here has been coming down. We did see a continuation of the downtrend here to only 179 here. So it's down about, excuse me, about 5 Bitcoin from the prior month. Revenue also decreased to 11.8 from 12 here. No Bitcoin hodl. Hash rate difference. You can see their hash rate here for self-mining. Excuse me. Has been kind of on a roller coaster ride a little bit here. It's been up, then it came back down and went up again, and it's now going up again as well into the summer months. Bitcoin sold, they sell everything that they mine. BTC per exahash efficiency, right, came in at 24.5. That's why I'm thinking this is off. This would make them one of the best efficient miners, which is not the case because, like I said, I think they're including the what do they call it? I can't forget what they call it. Cloud hash rate, right? Portion of that as well. If you had the 1.2 in there. So that would get them a higher hash rate at that point, and that would come down. So this number is going to be off based on that. What else? If your Bitcoin sold value, how much they sold, and then going into the institution side of things, we can see that institutions actually decreased here a little bit to 53. The number of shares just increased barely here to 6.84 from 6.83 million. Percentage went down to 8.32, which is surprising. So I think they might be diluting shares there, and we're just not seeing here on the number of shares up there. We still have the strong buy rating 1, 8 buy ratings now, so that's an increase there. Don't have any holds, underperformer sell ratings. And the price target's still $20 for the high. The average went up a little bit here to 13.5, and the low stayed at $9 as well. So that's all good there. Oh, excuse me. Throat's getting a little tingly. Okay, looking over here at the number of miners and everything else, I did install some of these seal miners here to get them to where they said they're at, right, 7.3. And then I included here down below the roughly 1.2 exahash or something like that, roughly, into it as well in order for the numbers to work out, right? So I got 11.79 million, and they were operating for about 24 days. 11.79 is right there, right? So I had to install those, the cloud hash rate miners as well in order for the numbers to work out. Even if I didn't do that before, if I took out the 1.8 million here, I was like operating at like 31, 32 days on these machines, which we know is not the case. So that's why I'm thinking that the cloud hash rate is being included in the BTC mined as well. Okay, so that's kind of where we're at with it. Going up here to the valuation side of things, I'm between $11.68 to $17.52. They're at $11.83. I think they're well valued, but on the lower end side of things, right? I think they can still definitely go up a little bit more here on the value. And then as they bring on more machines, more megawatts, more hash rate into 2025, as long as we're still in a bull market at that point, they will probably do pretty well at that point as well. Okay, so that is it for Bitdeer. Overall, wish they would have more growth. They're doing the right things, right? They're getting their own ASIC machines, which is fantastic. That's going to cut their cost on procuring those down to just the cost of what it costs for them to make it. And then they're going to be also selling them as well. So there's going to be some revenue from there. So they have a lot of good things happening here going forward from them. But that's it. Let's get into HUT 8 here. So HUT 8, the one over here. HUT 8 is a surprise that came out, right? They didn't provide the main updates, but they did provide the main updates in here. So we have that as a combination here. We'll look at all those numbers for them and see what they have to say here. So HUT 8 operations update for June 2024. They should have said June and May here. But here's a quote from them. We continue to optimize our existing assets, including our self-mining sites and 5 high-performance computing data centers for Bitcoin mining or AI workloads, said Asher Ganut, CEO of HUT 8. At Salt Creek, for example, our team launched and completed initiatives to fortify the upstream electrical infrastructure supporting the facility. We expect our optimization initiatives to drive greater site I can't pronounce that word. Longevity and productivity as we scale our data centers portfolio in parallel, as we are actively engaged in discussions regarding upgrades to our miner fleets. So that would be good there, right? We really want to see them upgrade their old machines that they do have there. And they do have a lot of old machines. So that would be good. Commercialization efforts for our new AI vertical are also progressing nicely, including the assembly of our first GPU cluster and fit out of our data centers suite. More than half of the 1,000 NVIDIA H100 GPUs have been configured and are now undergoing testing at the manufacturer's facility. We are on track to go live in H2 and begin generating revenue at a forecasted annual rate of approximately $20 million at that point. So that would be still on the smaller side of things, right, compared to where Core is or where BitDigital is, even with their customer there. Okay, going down here, the deployed hash rate was 5.7 exahash, so that is a little bit of an increase from 5.5. So we have that for May now. Bitcoin produced was 107 BTC with the footnotes here of 1 and 9. We'll take a look at those, what those actually mean. They had 91 BTC in May, so they did increase that a little bit here. And Bitcoin on balance sheet went up to 9,105 from the 9,103 they had in May. Okay, going down here to the footnotes, and then you can see all their sites here that they manage, host, self-mine, power generation, all that stuff is in here, which is really good for them. Really nice of them to provide all that data there. But number one footnote here was as of the end of the period. Okay, that makes sense. And then number 9 here is Bitcoin produced net of the 50% share of the King Mountain JV held by Hut 8's joint venture partner was 90 BTC during the June and 74 during May. And I think that's kind of what we're using there for the self-mining on the spreadsheet here, because that is lower than what is reported. Well, 90, 107 here. What was it, 90 and 27? 90. Okay, yeah. So it's a little bit lower. So I think their self-mining that they have from Hut 8 operations, the old Hut 8 operations, is only 27, right? 107 or... Wait a minute. No, it's 17 BTC. Okay. So let's take a look at the spreadsheet that I do have for Hut 8, and we'll go through it. So Hut 8 has about 90 million shares outstanding right now. Stock price $16. It's valued at about 1.4 billion in market cap. As you can see here, their performance over the last 12 weeks has been really good, right? So like I talked about earlier, there's a couple miners that have had pretty good performance here, and so did they. So they're up 71%, almost 72 from 12 weeks ago. From 8 weeks ago, they're up 87%. From 4 weeks ago, they're up 54%. And then last week, they were up 21% as well. Current hash rate 5.7. Their future hash rate was supposed to be 7.3 when everything that they had from Hut 8 and USBTC combined, that's kind of where they were supposed to get to. And they did get to that. And then they actually went down because they started removing some of the older machines that weren't operating well or not being profitable, right? So that lowered their hash rate there. So that's actually probably old numbers here. I don't know how much higher they can get from the 5.7 exahash that they're at right now. Bitcoin HODL, 9,109 right now, right? Is that what they reported here? 9,105. Okay, you gotta fix that. 105 is what it is right now. 105. Okay, so that's valued about 600 million right now. That's market cap to HODL is about 41% right now. And then you can see their BTC monthly mined. Their best month was in December, 453 Bitcoin. At that point, they were also at like 7.3, 7.2 exahash, right? And then that's been coming down here, down to 91 in May, up a little bit here in June, 207. And then you can see the monthly revenue here increased to about 7.05 million from the almost 6 million here that they had in May. Bitcoin HODL has been kind of flat here recently over the last, you could say, 6 months. They were at 9,116. They're now at 9,105. It has been coming down, but at a much slower pace here. And let's see here. Hash rate. Yeah, you can see their hash rate bottomed out at 4.5 exahash in April. Went up a little bit here to May in 5.5. And now they're at 5.7. Bitcoin sold. They've been selling a large portion or majority of it if you compare the two from what they mined here and what they were actually selling here. So they've been pretty much selling all... majority. They're leaving some behind, but not much. BTC per exahash efficiency up to 15.78 for them. That's still pretty low. And Bitcoin sold value 6.92 million for the month here. Going down to institutions here. Institutions stayed the same at 165 million, or 165, sorry. Shares doubled here. So 22 million now shares owned by institutions. That's up to 24.86%. We still have 0 strong buy ratings. We now have 5 buy ratings for them, which is an increase of 1. Hold is 0, underperform is 1, and the sell is 0 now. Target for them is $14 for the high. Average is up to $11.03, and the low is up to $7.50 from analysts. Going down here, as far as what they mined here, I put in basically 5.7 exahash for them. Give them also 700,000 in Bitcoin transaction fees here for the month, and that got them operating for about 23 days roughly on average, somewhere around there, to get to the number that we needed to get to, which was 7,051,000, which corresponds with this number here. Okay, and then here's where we have the BTC that they got from the for the self-mining with the JV. We're looking at 107, what they reported. Based on where they are right now and where I have them, I'm in between 596 and 894. They're at $16.16. They have a bunch of other business segments which are not being accounted into this as well, right? They have the hosted managed services as well. They have some AI data center stuff as well that they're doing. That's not accounted in here. Once I'll probably include those numbers going forward once we get Q2 results. That way we'll have at least 2 quarterly results of that information. We can kind of gather where they are right now, right? So on this rating, do not use old data. A lot of the data that I do have is old on them. And that's based on also only having one real quarter of the combined company. Prior to that, it's just a mess before that. So that's why I'm saying it. I really don't know where they should be valued right now for them. Excuse me. Okay, so takes on Hut 8 here. Big thing is for them is to continue to grow out their self-mining, which hopefully they do. We'll see what they do with the 150 million that they got from Code 2 as far as building out their infrastructure for HPC AI and stuff. And yeah, we'll see what they do going forward. But at least they're providing the monthly updates, and I think maybe they'll continue to do those. I think maybe they heard the community pretty loud and clear that the community wants them to provide these kind of updates going forward. So I think we'll keep getting them. But if we don't, well, then we'll drop them. But that's Hut 8. Let's get into last one here, which is on Terawulf, and then we'll get into you guys' questions here. So Terawulf announces June 2024 production and operations updates. And here's what we got here. So self-mined Bitcoin 177, operation capacity Terawulf's installed and operational self-mining capacity reached approximately 8.8 exahash, representing a 76% year-over-year increase. Power cost averaged about 32,000 roughly, or 4.2 cents per kilowatt hour. Let's see here. And that is excluding the benefit of expected demand response and ancillary services proceeds, which is expected to be substantial as described below. So here's the demand response. The Lake Mariner facility curtailed over 2,300 megawatt hours in connection with demand response activities in June, which is expected to reduce power costs by approximately 1 penny here. In the month, Terawulf demand response savings represent the equivalent value of approximately 21 BTC using June's value per Bitcoin self-mine in the table below. Okay. Wow, excuse me. Sorry about that. My throat just keeps getting dry. Bitcoin self-mined Lake Mariner, 136. Which one is their own facility? I keep forgetting which one is their own facility here. Let me go to Terawulf really quick. Don't want to misspeak here. I have it written down here someplace. Self-mine equals Lake Mariner. Yeah, so Lake Mariner is their self-mine. So 136 there. Bitcoin self-mine Nautilus, that's part of their JV there. That's 41. And then average operating hash rate was 7.1. I wish they would have informed or at least provided some information here. Listen, I love the fact that there's segregating these out. The only thing I wish they would have included in here, where did the additional hash rate get added to, right? Was it for their self-mining, Lake Mariner, or was it for the Nautilus as well, or was it a mixture of both? I think that would have been nice to see that as well, because right now it's going to be kind of tough for me to figure it out where it's going. But we can see here a little bit on it. The Lake Mariner team also substantially completed building 4 ahead of schedule and is currently installing and activating approximately 10,000 of the Bitmain latest generation of S21 and S21 Pros. Once fully deployed, building 4 is expected to increase our total operating capacity to over 10 exahash. They said that. And then let me see here. Building 5, what else was there? That is basically it. So I think majority of that stuff went into the Lake Mariner facility. But you can see here, as of June 30th, Terawulf operational infrastructure capacity comprised of 195 megawatts at Lake Mariner facility and 50 megawatts at Nautilus facility, with the company's total self-mining hash rate at approximately 8.8 in June. Terawulf's miners operated at an average 7.1 exahash. So they're kind of pointing out what the megawatts are between the two sites. I wish they would do the same thing between the exahashes, where each one is at, because I think I added everything to the addition here for their self-mining for Lake Mariner. Okay, and then down here, regarding Wolf's Compute's pursuit of large-scale AI HPC project at the Lake Mariner site, progress continues on our previously announced construction of a 2-megawatt AI HPC digital infrastructure pilot, supporting current and next-generation GPU technology. Terawulf is also designing a 20-megawatt co-location pilot project at the Lake Mariner site capable of supporting 16 megawatts of critical IT load, with liquid cooling and redundancy requirements typically of a Tier 3 data center, with a target completion date in Q4 2024. Okay, so that's going to be really good there for them for HPC side of things, right? Especially if you get into the latest generation, not ASICs, but the chips from NVIDIA, the Blackwells. Those are supposedly going to be needing cooling, liquid cooling as well. That's kind of what I've been hearing on the interwebs. We'll see if that's actually the case there. And so that would be good. All right. But let's get into the numbers here. I like the simple fact that they are still growing here, which is good to see. Terawulf currently has about 331 million shares outstanding, market cap 1.7 billion, right? Their performance over the last 12 weeks has also been really great here. So they're up 80% from 12 weeks ago, up 99, almost 100% from 8 weeks ago. They're up another 44% from 4 weeks ago, and then last week they were up 6.97%. Current hash rate 8.8. The future hash rate that I have written down for them is about 10 exahash. So they're getting close to getting fully operational here. They don't hodl on anything. They sell everything that they mined. So the Bitcoin self-mined here is down actually from May. May was 144. I'm surprised that they are down down to 136, but I think it might be because of the curtailing going on there in June at the facility there. And then self-mined revenue estimated here is about 8.96 million, so it's down from May here as well. Hash rate here, we can see this is combined JV and self-mining. That has increased here this year, which is nice to see, right, to 7.1 in the beginning of the year. Now they're at 8.8. So that's, I always like seeing that kind of growth there, which is good to see. And then BTC per exahash efficiency also increased nicely here, or not increased nicely. This is pretty good. It's 20.11. That gives them kind of like in the mid-tier of miners operationally. It's not on the low end, but it's not on the top end either, but it's kind of in the middle there. Of things, Bitcoin sold with JV and everything else, 177, pretty much everything that they mined here, how much revenue they're getting for it. Going down here to analysts and institutions. Institutions stay the same at 187, and then shares increased a little bit here to 77.2 million, and percentage went up just a little bit here as well to 23.26. We still have the 1 strong buy rating, the 5 buy rating, 0 hold, 0 underperform, 0 sells. Price target went up to $9 now for them. That's a huge increase there from the $4.20 that they had the prior month. And the average went up to $6.10. The low went up to $3, or stayed at $3, but the average and the high actually increased there. Going down here to the machines being added. So I added these latest S21 miners here, the 200 terahash miners in for them, and tried to figure out the calculation on the self-mining and the JV. And that's kind of how I added the Bitcoin transaction fees into each one. And then we do have them at a total of, where is it at? 8.8 exahash for everything. There, let's see here. This is for their self-mined was 5.8. So the difference here would be about, what is that? 3 exahash part of the JV here, it looks like, potentially. And they're getting 49% of that, I believe, or JV 25% of that. Okay. Excuse me, what else do we have here? I think that is it for that one. And then as far as where do I see them operating here right now, price targets, I have between 364 and 547. They're at 521. I think they're very fairly valued right now based on what they have here. And I think they're being valued more on the potential for the HPC AI business than their growth here in Bitcoin mining itself. That's kind of the way I'm seeing it right now. Because as we can see here, the analysts are looking at much higher prices. I think they're looking more at the HPC side of things, where they're typically now giving more higher prices to those companies that are doing HPC. And that may be the reason why. But right now, I think they're pretty fairly valued, right? As long as they continue to increase their hash rate and everything else, I think they'll do very, very well. Going forward, they were one of the ones that was, for a long time, way undervalued. And I think they finally kind of got their wind behind them a little bit here to get more fairly valued in terms of where they are right now. But big thing for them is still to pay off some of the debt they have. It's not much left there. I think they're down to, at the end of Q1, they were 122. They paid down like a large portion of it in, what was it, April, I think. They're down to like 72 million from there, and they were supposed to pay down even more going into this current quarter that we're in. So that should be getting them down to even, I think, like, I don't know, 50 million or something like that. So that'll be good there. And then as they continue to grow, like I said, the HPC side of the business, and then the Bitcoin mining as well, I think they will do very well going forward. But a lot of the growth isn't until potentially 2025, which I would like to see it more towards the end of this year even. So we'll see if they can do that. Okay, but that's it on Terawulf here. Let's get into your guys' Q&A side of things. But as always, my little sales pitch, as always, Patreon members get access to all of my spreadsheets. Link is down in the description for that, $8 a month. There might be a couple spots that are less than that. And if you pay annually, you get 10% off. Okay, so that's it. Let's get into the Q&A side of things and see if you guys have any questions here on any of this stuff. Let's see. Q&A, that's what I want to do. Okay. All right. Let's see here. I'm trying to see if there's any questions from you guys here. It's going to be delayed a little bit from what time when I see the question and answer it to when you guys hear it. Let's see here. Okay, DJ asks, are all miners going to eventually be repriced to a minimum HPC valuation? I think I already responded to you on that. I think it's going to be dependent on the type of customer they get and the contract that they get, right? If they get a good contract, a good customer, they will be possibly repriced at that point, but I don't know about the other miners that have smaller contracts, smaller customers and things like that. It's just going to be based on the amount of revenue you're going to be generating there. Let's see. Does BitDigital sell BTC to buy Ethereum? I don't think so. They're staking Ethereum, so they're just continuing to add into their HODL position there on Ethereum from that. But I don't know if they sell BTC to buy ETH. That I don't know. I'm not sure on that. Let's see. Question. Okay. Hi, Sub. Happy 4th of July. Happy 4th to you as well. Can you please provide your analysis and thoughts on Bitdeer's AI business in comparison to CORZ, IREN, and Bitdigital's? Bitdeer's is still in the works, right? I don't know how much customers they have for that. Let's see if we can find it in Bitdeer's numbers. But I know CORZ has got the biggest customer. Second is BitDigital, right? So I called CORZ the king of HPC and BitDigital the queen there. IREN has a very, very small customer there right now. It's, what is it called? Poolside or something like that. They are only signing contracts for a couple months, and they're generating like 800, 900,000 a month from that, which is still pretty good. But it's definitely on the smaller side of things compared to BitDigital and Core itself. Now, as far as Bitdeer, let's see if they provide any information on, let me see if I can find in Bitdeer's HPC. So let's see, HPC. Okay. So let's go to my screen here. So HPC and AI cloud services, provided by NVIDIA DGX SuperPods with H100s demonstrated strong demand by customers and crossed 75% utilization this month. So that's good there. Let's see, what else do we have here? HPC made substantial progress in advancing our strategic initiatives in Bitcoin and mining HPC. Okay, HPC, this deal does not enhance our operational and strategic flexibility, but also supports ambitious growth objectives. Okay, so that was the Monroe County Port Authority with 570 megawatts. They signed a deal there. Where else do we have HPC here? They don't really go into it too much, so I don't think there's much going on. I know that they're working on it. We'll have to see if they get any big customers from that or anything. But yeah, there's really nothing substantive right now, at least, on the HPC side of things for Bitdeer. Let's see here. Do you think BitDigital will announce another HPC customer when you've spoken to Sam? Well, that's what he was hinting towards, right? They are working on other customers as well. And he said it would be bad on them if they can't get any more customers, right? Because if they have this kind of customer right now, which is a huge customer for them. So, you know, I think it'd be a one-trick pony, and that's something that Sam doesn't want to be, is a one-trick pony with that. So he wants to get other customers in there as well for HPC AI, and we'll see what they get. Maybe they will. Let's see. I'm looking for another question here really quick. Let's see here. Let's see. What else do we have here? Okay, next question here is, what do you think about LMFA? Not sure. Not really looked into it. I just looked at them really quick now. I just wanted to make sure it was legit, and it's LM Funding America. Not sure what they do. Oh, they're a Bitcoin mining too. Wow. I did not know about them. All right, let's take a quick gander at them, see what's going on with those guys here. So this was from 24 days ago. LM Funding America Inc. provides monthly operational and Bitcoin mining update for month end of May 31st. What did they mine here? Bitcoin beginning balance sheet was 95.1. Bitcoin mined 31.7. So they're on the smaller side here. Bitcoin sold, this is 5 months May. Okay, so 95, 125 Bitcoin mined. Okay, so they increased. What's their hash rate here? 5 months May. So is that the total there? 1 month. Oh, May. Okay, here we go. Okay, that's a little confusing. 14 BTC mined. Okay, yeah, they're definitely on the smaller side. What's their hash rate? Approximately 370 machines are in transit. Yeah, for that reason, I don't know. how they're doing. I would have to go back through all their numbers here to see how they are doing. But there's one of the smaller ones. Could they do well? Possibly. Bitcoin going up in value, they're going to possibly rise up as well. But I don't know long term what their plans or outlook is at all on that. Let's see. Hey Seb, I was surprised seeing you live at this time. Question: based on the information you have from Terawulf, do you have the capacity and infrastructure to get HPC deals similar to CORZ? Not currently, no. They could get other sites potentially, but then you're looking out. You got to build those out, right? So you're looking at maybe end of 2025 or early sometime or mid 2026 in order for that to work out. Depending on the customer that you get. If you get a customer that requires 2 or 3 data centers, it's going to take a while to build those out. But they do have, Patrick has said that they have access to potential other sites that could get additional megawatts there. So they do have the optionality there. It's just a matter of when can they build it out, how fast can they build it out, and when can they do that. Let's see. Would HPC be the end game for the miner? Does it not scare anyone else? BTC price props up, not going any higher than 73K. I don't think so. I think the HPC play is big right now, but we'll have to see what actually transpires going forward. We only have the 2 big customers for Core and for BitDigital right now. Nobody else is bringing in these kind of huge customers, at least not yet. That doesn't mean that they're not working on it, but at least we haven't seen it, right? And my thought is with all this hype and demand that we're supposed to have with this stuff, I would have thought we would have seen more by now, right? Everybody's trying to scramble and get as many megawatts to host all these things, but we're not seeing it really. So I don't know. Let's see here. Hi Seb, why is Seb not interested in to low dips in Wolf? Why Wolf is rising like more like a rocket still they are in 8 exahash? Is there any secret agreement as going like CORZ? Any dilution will happen. So the only reason I haven't gotten into Wolf in the past, and I still haven't gotten into them right now, is just their operations are pretty good. Cost of power is really good as well. The only thing was growth, right? Growth in the debt. The debt scared the crap out of me when I saw that last year. But they have done a really good job paying that off. So once they get the debt paid off, I think they're going to be in much better shape. I'd like to see more growth in Bitcoin mining themselves, right? Where I'm seeing it with IREN, Cleanspark, Marathon, Riot, right? The HPC AI business is going to be interesting. We'll see what they get from that. They're doing a pilot program right now. They got 20 megawatts they're going to be putting towards it later on. And they do have the optionality. But those are kind of the reasons why I haven't gotten into it. It's just mainly the self-mining hash rate growth this year and the debt for those reasons. Steve says, sorry I'm late. You're not late. I mean, we're only going into this half an hour in, so we're still going through this. Let's see. Hi, Sebastian. Could you explain how is the hash rate chart affect the price of Bitcoin? There's, I don't know. I don't know if it affects it, but I think it could affect it a little bit. So the way it would normally work is as the hash rate goes up, right? We usually see Bitcoin keeping up with it at least, or going past it. So let's take a look at the chart here on really quick, if we can. But usually what you see is the hash rate increasing, meaning that there's more miners, more security for the network. You're also seeing the Bitcoin price going up at that point. But the reason Bitcoin price is going up is because it's a scarce asset, basically, right? There's 21 million supply of it. You're not going to get any more of it. So in time, its supply is getting cut in half at each 4 years. So that's kind of what we're seeing here. Let me see the number of addresses. Where is it at? Average estimated number of hashes. There we go. So this is on the daily. Let's take a look at the weekly here. You can see here that as over time, right? As time has gone on, more and more machines get plugged in and the miners continue to improve efficiencies and things like that. Hash rate continues to go up. If we overlay Bitcoin on top of it, I think we can do that. Let's see here. BTC USD. Let's just do Coinbase here on top of it, same as scale. Okay. You can see that it kind of goes along with the hash rate here. But you can see that Bitcoin from whenever this is going back to this, I think it's going back to the 17th or something like that year. It's up 25,000%, whereas the network hash rate is up like 148,000%, right? So there is some correlation to it, but you can see here where the network hash rate continues to go up while Bitcoin was actually going down, and then we started coming back up a little bit as well. So there's some correlation between the two, but not much. It's just more driven by the higher the price of Bitcoin goes, the higher the hash rate also goes, because then you have more people flooding into, mine Bitcoin as well. Okay, let's get rid of that. Okay, back to the question side of things. Let's see, what price will BitDigital be if we have a bull ring high? BTC is scaring me now. You think the ETFs have messed up the cycle? I don't think they messed up the cycle. I think they've improved the cycle potentially. Right before the halving event, we've never had an all-time high. We had that this time around because of the ETFs. This time, Bitcoin's acting this way it has in the past cycles as well. If you look at Bitcoin in the past cycle, even let's take a look at it here really quick on the chart as well. We'll pull that up. Let me see where I want to go. Here. Okay, let's go back to Bitcoin here really quick. If we go back to the previous cycle here, right? Let's see, this is 2020, yeah. 2020, here's a chart on it. You can see Bitcoin was going monthly here down for a couple months after the halving event, right? We'll look at it here really quick. It took, let's see if we can zoom this in. Will that refresh? No, okay. Well, you can see it went up and then went down for a couple months before it finally started going back up higher, right? So in July and August, and then it started to go back up higher. So we're still in this space in where we're kind of in flux, I guess you could say, or in purgatory, where we really don't know whether we want to go up or down right now. Right now, this is the time to dollar cost average in if you can, in my opinion. This is the time where you kind of shake out the weak hands in Bitcoin and the miners as well. So I expect the same thing to happen this cycle as we had last cycle in 2020. If you look at the previous cycle as well, going back to 2016, you see the same thing happening here. Bitcoin actually looks like it went sideways a lot longer here. Well, there we go. Okay. So here's the halving event, right? We went up after it, and then we went down for several months here before we actually started going back up, right? So take that into consideration as well. Be patient out there, buy the dips, and you'll do much better in the long run, right? Short term, it's going to be a volatile asset to hold on to. But in the long run, it does make sense. But you got to have the conviction, and you got to have the patience to weather the storm here a little bit, right? Kind of like what we're seeing here. This is on the weekly. So we've seen Bitcoin coming up, coming down. We're coming back down a little bit here. I think eventually we will start going back up. Okay. Oh, there we go. Back to that one. But as far as what will the price of BitDigital be if... Okay, BitDigital, as far as what will the price of BitDigital? I think it's going to be much higher if Bitcoin continues to go up in time, in the next 6 to 12 months. Bitcoin goes up to 100,000, 150,000, whatever it might be. BitDigital is going to be valued more. Plus, if they can bring on more customers, if they can grow their hash rate and buy some infrastructure, because right now they don't have an infrastructure, I think that would help. Let's see. Uploads at Libitum says, can't think of anything others haven't asked a million times, but I really appreciate your channel. Been in this game since Blondity. Let's ride the season together, Seb. Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, I remember watching Blondity too. He was great. He was out there for a while, then we got into the bear market and we lost him for some reason. Let's see. Okay, he says, actually one question. When we're ready to take profits, maybe 6 to 12 months from now, have you thought about what you'll be buying instead? Not really. It's going to be hard. We'll look at it more closer to that when we start selling these minor stocks. We'll start looking into what other things we can get into. But right now, a lot of things can change in that time from where we are right now. So I really don't know. Let's see. Are you tempted to divide your Bitfarms investment between other miners? Isn't it better to make a guaranteed 4x than a risky 7x? Well, that's why I also have Cleanspark and IREN and CORZ, right? So I'm not just all in Bitfarms right now. So I do have those as well, which I believe are more of a, I wouldn't say guaranteed, but a more of a sure bet that they would do at least a 3 to 5x, I think, right? With Bitfarms, it's a bit more risky, but dollar cost wise, it's the same dollar cost that I have. Actually, it's less than IREN right now, and definitely much less than where Cleanspark was. So I look at it that way as well. How do you feel about diversifying crypto proxies like Galaxy Digital, DeFi technologies compared to the BTC miners? Could they outperform them? I don't think so. I don't think they will. I think the miners are a better proxy. They're more volatile, I think, than them. But when you do have the nice runs up, they run up really nice. Let's see. What do you think of BitDigital being something similar like MicroStrategy and Ethereum holdings? And Sam's answer on being asset light when you asked him on X. I mean, they would have to hold a heck of a lot more Ethereum at that point. What do they have? 19,000 Ethereum or something like that, or 20,000 Ethereum. So it's a substantial amount, right? Depending on where Ethereum goes and how well it performs with the ETFs, we'll have to see that. But right now, I just don't see that. And as far as Sam's answer on being asset light, I liked his answer, right? He said he doesn't want to kind of shoebox himself in a little bit and getting the infrastructure there if it doesn't work for the customers, right? So he's customer focused. I like that. But he's at least open-minded about getting infrastructure to help them not be as asset light, which I think is kind of hurting the stock right now, potentially, because everything else they're doing is great. They don't have any assets. That's the only thing that's, I think, hurting it. But he's open to it. They're in talks right now to get a data center potentially. So that'll be interesting to see what they get, how many megawatts they get there, and what it's going to be used for. I think it's going to be used for HPC and maybe Bitcoin mining itself. But yeah, I think his answer was a good one, right? You don't want to pigeonhole yourself into something and then have customers needing something else. But if you can be flexible and do both, where you do have customers that are able to use that data center, and then you have customers that you can also help use elsewhere, right? To get them, whether it's hosting or deals, things like that. I think that makes sense. Let's see. Which is a better buy right now, Cleanspark or Bitfarms? I would have to say right now, I think Bitfarms is more undervalued than Cleanspark is, right? But when will all the FUD around Bitfarms end? We don't know that. So that's kind of a risk with Bitfarms there. Cleanspark is, I think, maybe a little bit more of a, you know what you're going to get from them, right? You're going to get at least a 3 to 5x, depending where Bitcoin goes, maybe even higher. With Bitfarms, you're just kind of waiting on them to come up with a new CEO. You're waiting for Riot to maybe back off on the purchase. So we'll have to, that one's a little bit more, I think, risky. Let's see. Between Digihost and Mawson, who do you like better for buying right now? I would probably go with Digihost, I think. Digihost has newer machines. Mawson has older machines. They have like the 87 terahash miners, and they're looking more towards hosting, being a hosting company than being a Bitcoin self-miner right now. Digihost, I would go with Digihost probably, based on just those facts there. Will all the miner stocks go down as the second quarter revenues are going to shrink due to having and BTC prices has gone down from first quarter? Yes, the companies that were using the FSB rules, right, which was a lot of them that have a Bitcoin hodl, they're going to get dinged down a little bit there. Bitcoin finished out the month at like 60 some odd thousand, so it's down from the 70,000 it was at the end of Q1. So the more hodl that you have, the more of a ding you're going to get, I guess, in that regard. But I think a lot of the miners and the investors in them and the institutions are forward-looking. They're looking more towards where will the miners be when the price is actually at 150,000 or higher, right? So I think we might see a little bit of a dip, but I don't expect a huge dip on the miners for that. I think that's kind of being equated in already. Let's see. What is your RSI analysis on BTC like last time? The RSI right now, I think I just talked about it earlier in the video. I think the RSI in Bitcoin right now looks like, I would like it to come down actually even more. So let's take a look at it here really quick. If we go here. So here's Bitcoin on the daily. If we look at the RSI, it's still at the same spot we were. Let's see. There we go. Okay, so here's the RSI. We're at like 31. We're still at the same spot roughly that we were back in beginning of May, right? May 1st. Bitcoin did the same thing at that point. We came down to pretty much the same levels here. And Bitcoin went up. But I would still like to see Bitcoin come down even more. Maybe it's like the 55,000 mark, 53,000 mark. Get that RSI nice and down below that 30 mark here, where it's then definitely way oversold. And then we potentially go back up. But we may not get that. We may continue to go up here from here, right? So it'll then depend on where the RSI is on it, and then where the price is. If the RSI is flat from a previous period and price of Bitcoin is actually lower, then I could see it possibly going down even more, right, to get that little corrective action going there. But we'll see. Let's see here. I wonder if Hive would be a low risk, high rewards since it's good, strong metrics, and if they announce that they will aim for more than 1% of the market, I guess it would have a huge impact on it. Yeah, I would think so too, right? They're definitely way undervalued from where they really should be, but the reason I think for that is because they don't have huge ambitions to be the top miner. They want to be 1%, or at least that's what they've stated in the past, of the network hash rate. If they come out strong saying that they're doing this, that, and that to get to X, Y, and Z, I think the stock would take off at that point. But I don't know if we're going to get that. I think they're pretty much fully stacked right now with miners in all their facilities. So they can't really, I don't know if they can grow any further in those. I think they would have to buy additional infrastructure as well, which they could do, right? But we haven't seen that yet from them. But I would love to see that from them because they're definitely one of the best operators that are out there. There's just not a lot of growth. Seems like any miner could easily switch to HPCs, so all would get that valuation. Well, it's not that easy, right? You're seeing Core get that huge customer from CoreWeave, but they're spending $300 million to retrofit their facilities to make it work for them, right? So depending on the customer you get, whether you need a tier 3 customer with redundancies and power and connectivity with internet and then cooling, right? Cooling is a big thing as well. And that's going to depend on the facility and things like that. So not everybody can really do that quickly. It takes time to build that out. But if you get a customer that doesn't care about 99.999% uptime and they're fine with getting shut down for a couple hours or something like that once or twice a month, well, then you can go with the other miners, which they don't really have to retrofit it. Or you don't care about inference. Inference means basically you need uptime as best as possible and redundancies. If you don't need inference, you can do the large language models with much smaller data centers and like a tier 1 data center, which doesn't have cooling, the redundancies as well in that. So it's customer driven. I feel like Bitfarms can't go any lower. Never say never, right? We don't know where Bitcoin's going to go. Bitcoin goes down to like 55,000. It could go down lower, right? Today's not trading because today's a holiday, but come Friday, we'll see how the miners react depending where Bitcoin is at that point. Do you have the straight BTC or the tilted one? For the logo, if you look over here, I'm using the tilted one over here. If you can see it down on the bottom on the ticker scroll, I'm using the tilted. I'm using the right one, I think. And if you guys don't know what that's all about, there was a space last night where they were talking about how there's a conspiracy theory, how like the ETFs and others want to basically destroy Bitcoin, and they're using the straight Bitcoin up and down logo instead of the tilted one, which is the actual one. It was interesting to listen to it. Let's see. Can you take a quick look at DeFi technologies on the chart? Tell me what you think. It's DFTF on the OTC or DeFi on the. All right, let's take a look at DFTF. So let's see here. DFTF. We'll compare that to Bitcoin. See how that's working out. Let's see here. Okay, it's here and DFTF. DFTF. Oh, it's not popping up here. What is it? Sorry, what was that one? Doggone it. Where'd it go? DEFTF. Okay. DEFTF. DEFTF. There we go. Okay. Same scale. So let's see here. Based on this, it is outperforming Bitcoin by 146% here. Let's see. And this is on the daily. Let's take a look at the 1 year. 1 month. What do we want to do? 1 year. We're going to take a look at the 1 year. On the 1 year, it's definitely outperforming Bitcoin here. 1,495%. It's had a huge run up here. It's been coming down here. Year to date, it's up 132. So it's acting more like Bitcoin proxy over like a 2x on top of Bitcoin. Not even that. Well, yeah, still be. Bitcoin's up 37%. So we're looking at, what is that? 3x on top of it. DeFi. So I mean, it's looking pretty good here right now. Could it go up even more? Potentially. I just don't follow it, so I'm not sure on that one. But the chart looks pretty good. If you see something's outperforming Bitcoin like DeFi is right now, it looks pretty good on it. If you compare, another one that people like to compare is also MSTR, MicroStrategy, right? MSTR. On that one, we can see here that sometimes a MicroStrategy does front run Bitcoin, gets a little overexcited, and then it comes back down into reality where it really should be. It should be like a more like a 2x proxy on Bitcoin. But sometimes it just gets a little overheated and kind of front runs a little bit, but then comes back down. So it's 90% up from year to date. And if you look at the 1 year on it, it's 244%. So it's like a 3x roughly from where Bitcoin is, 86% on it. Yeah. So usually 2 to 3x is what I would normally expect from MicroStrategy on that one as well. Let's see here. Get rid of MicroStrategy. Go back to the Q&A. Okay. Especially, have you heard of Germany selling their Bitcoin, 60,000 total, and pretty much the reason for the dumping lately? They could be selling it. Wasn't that much. I thought it was only like 3,000 BTC, but maybe it is 60,000. But, 60,000 Bitcoin is a lot. Could that be because of dumping here recently? Could be. Don't know, right? It's hard to tell. Could be other factors as well in there. You got Mt. Gox in there as well. That stuff happening. And then you got, we were up quite nicely on Bitcoin and everything else. You need a little bit of pullback to have a healthy rally. So it could be contributing to that as well. Benjamin says, I said, but I feel like you might be a little too deep into Bitfarms. It's really inexcusable what their board members have done to leave the company leaderless and not have any replacement yet still. No, I'll agree with you there, right? That they have definitely messed up there. But the only thing that I'm seeing here is even with them being leaderless, they still got close to the 12 exahash, right, for June, pretty close to that. They also bought a facility in Pennsylvania, right? That's without having a leader in place, and they're still doing all these right things to grow, continuing. They're now talking about doing HPC AI. So even though they don't have a CEO at the helm, you still have Ben there, right, which knows the operations, knows things, and he's been probably the one leading all of this stuff, all these efforts in the first place. So I don't know. It would definitely be nice for them to get a CEO in there. That's good. I don't know when that's going to happen. It might not happen until, Riot backs off or says that they're no longer interested in buying Bitfarms. But yeah, I agree with you there. That's why I still think there's a lot of potential there, and it's way undervalued from where it really should be. And it's because of all of this stuff here, right? So if they can fix those things, the stock should do really well. Let's see, I really think this cycle we have the potential to make X's on our investments. As the next cycle, it will level out, and I don't think we'll have the same returns. It's now or never, baby. Yeah, that could be the case. I'm kind of agreeing with you there on that one. I'm also wondering if this cycle is going to be like the last cycle that we have where we no longer have bear markets in Bitcoin. We might have a little pullback, 20% or something like that, but we won't see that, 50, 70% pullback or 80% pullback on Bitcoin in the miners because you do have so much more institutional investors and, all that stuff, ETFs, everything else is just becoming more mature of an asset. And it could be one of those cycles where it's longer and it just goes up slower, basically. We don't have this kind of huge rocket ship going to the moon here, but it could be like 4 or 5 years, and by that time we might be at 250,000 or something like that. So we'll have to keep an eye on it, see what happens. Who is better positioned for HPC out of all the big miners if they chose to get into it? I think that it's going to depend on the customer, really. What kind of customer are you going to get? Are you going to get a customer that is, relying or needs tier 3 data center type of facilities? So it's customer driven, unfortunately. It's hard to tell, but all of these guys can do it probably, right? If they really wanted to, and if the capital was in there from the customer to do it as well, or if the contract was right? So they could all do it, and they have facilities. These guys have facilities in multiple jurisdictions, multiple areas. So they could do it at 1 or 2 facilities that they have, whatever it might be. So I think everybody could do it. It's just a matter of the customer. Let's see. When will Bitfarms X times X? I'm not counting it at X well, let's see, a 10x from here would be what, 20 some odd dollars. I'm thinking I might be able to. I'm thinking more like 5 to 8x on a conservative level. If we get better than that, that's all better. But if let's see here, 5 to 8x on that would be close to like $20 at that point, right? Something like that. But 10x, if Bitcoin goes up to 150, 180,000, 200,000, then we could definitely see that potential there. Let's see. Sebastian, here is Germany's current holdings from confiscations. I think you put a link in here, but I don't know if it came through or not. Let's see. What will you buy yourself after the cycle ends? Not family, but a nice treat for me. I don't know. I have everything that I need. Don't need much. But what I like? I'd like to finish out the basement here. Get this little studio that I have here in my dungeon soundproof, so I can't hear the dog or the kids running upstairs for you guys. I think that would be kind of my treat to myself, and a pool. Yeah, but that's still for the family too. So let's see. Hey Seb, I don't know if you answered this, but why are miner stocks up while BTC has been down since February from 73 to 58K? Did you notice something similar happen in the previous cycle? No, previous cycle was actually different. Previous cycle we had the miners and Bitcoin going down in value. Bitcoin was going up a little bit, but miners were going down much more. So it is a different cycle this time around. And let's see. The miners, well, I think we have more institutions getting into the miners this cycle than we had in the past, right? Because of Bitcoin ETFs as well. So I think that's driving them up. You got the HPC AI play as well, and on top of it, so that's helping things there. Let's see. Angie says holiday special miners on sale Friday, July 5th. Buy the dips. Let's see it. Do you think a drop to 53,000 would actually be what's best for BTC, or are you saying if that happens, it's fine, don't panic, long term is good, and buy more in the dips if you can? Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying here. Is if we get down to 53,000, don't panic on it. I think it would be actually good. I'd like to see the RSI come down below the 30 mark on the daily. I think that would be healthy, right? Bitcoin in the past cycles has had dips of 30% plus before we reached a new all-time high, and it did it several times. This time around, we've only seen dips in like the 20, 23 range % down. So I think this is fine. This is healthy. Let's see. You think Riot will overtake Cleanspark by end of the year? You're talking about market cap. They both have similar targets for hash rate growth. Cleanspark's going to be getting to 32 exahash. Riot's going to be getting to 31 exahash. The only thing is then the operation side of things, right? Who has better operations right now? I think Cleanspark still has better operations, and they're planning to get to 50 exahash next year sometime. We don't know exactly when. Based on that, I think it's going to be tough for Riot to overtake them unless they really, really fix their operations and get much, much better uptimes at the facilities. Let's see. Ben says, especially here is government's current Bitcoin confiscations that they are basically planning to sell over the course of the next month. Kind of crazy. What is your thought on that? Yeah, I mean, if they sell over the next month, but are they selling to the market, or are they going to be selling it to like OTC, right? A lot of these places would probably go for OTC, unless they're really trying to drop the price of Bitcoin down. Then you go to the market and sell market orders. But I think a lot of people from OTC are going to be interested in buying that, where then it possibly might not move the Bitcoin that much. But just might have people fearing that it's going to be doing that, and they're going to be selling anyways. Let's see. BTC will push high on Friday with new inflation data. Mark this post. Okay, we'll see. That'd be great. Let's see. Which is a better buy for the upcoming bull market, IBIT or Bitfarms? IBIT. What is IBIT? I haven't heard that one. I think I have. I'm just drawing a blank on what it is. IBIT. iShares. Oh, Bitcoin Trust. I would say Bitfarms. IBIT will follow, I believe, what Bitcoin does, right? Whereas Bitfarms is more of a proxy. I think that one might do better. If you look at who else is there out there, WGMI, right? BitQ. There's other ones in there as well. The ETFs for the miners. You'll notice that the miners have outperformed those as well. If you buy individual miners, right? If you buy good miners too. When will CORZ do the dilution as the 20 days over a certain price? It's coming up, I think. They're going to be really close to that here within the next couple of days to a week or so. So we'll just have to see if those warrants get exercised at that point. Let's see. Here we go. So Bitfarms is also traded on TSX, so you can get some while Nasdaq is closed. There you go. Do you know what's it doing right now? I don't look at the TSX. Let's see. Would you please speak to the statement that I read on Coinbase? Finally, critics argue that Bitcoin's economic model, particularly its fixed supply cap, is unstable. Why would it be unstable? It shouldn't be unstable. I mean, you get what you get, right? It's going to be 21 million over, and it's going to be all mined out by, what is it, 21,000 or year 2,140 something, I think. At that point, you then have the transaction fees happening on there. You also can use Satoshis, right? For depending where Bitcoin price goes up in that time, could it be 10 million per Bitcoin? Possibly. But then you subtract it or divide it by the number of Satoshis in Bitcoin, and you get a value and you interact in Satoshis. So I don't know. Any thoughts on Soluna, the microcap miner? I know they've been on a relatively good pump here recently. I know that they've had issues in the past, right? I covered them actually like 2 years ago in 2022 before they got into financial troubles and they stopped providing monthly updates. And at that point, I know that they were in trouble with some of the machines. They are doing also partnerships. I'm not sure about the partnerships, how well it's going to work out for them. It seems like it's working out pretty well for them right now. But there's also more complexity to figure out, you know, how much is theirs, how much is the partners, all that stuff. So we'll see. Okay, so on TSX, Bitfarms is lower today. How much lower is it today, percentage-wise? Let's see. Since Bitcoin's block rewards will continue to have over time, miners will have less incentive to secure the network. Would you please share your thoughts on this? Thank you. Well, no. If the only way they would have less, what's the word I'm looking for? Less, I can't think of the word. Okay, so as the network halves or the Bitcoin blocks have, right? So you're at 3.125 now. In 4 years, you're going to be down to 1 point something, right? 1.67 or something like that. Something like that. The thing that's always helped the miners is Bitcoin price going up more on top of it, right? So by next cycle, if all things play out, we should be somewhere probably between on Bitcoin between 200,000 and maybe like 350, 400,000, right? At that point, it still makes it very attractive for them to mine, depending where the network hash rate is, all that other stuff. But that's usually how it works out. As the supply decreases, the price of Bitcoin increases. Jen Pell asks, question: if Bitfarms doesn't announce a CEO by end of August, do you see yourself selling and put money into other miners? Potentially. I mean, if we don't get by August, yeah, that would be tough. At that point, we'll have to see what's going on with them. How have they been increasing their hash rate? Where's Riot at that point as well? Are they still interested in buying the company out or not? But yeah, at that point, we may have to take a look at it to see what's going on. Position ourselves into other miners. How come IREN and Wolf doing better than Bitfarms? Their exahash is much higher than the other two miners. Okay. Again, Bitfarms, IREN, and Wolf don't have the flood that Bitfarms has. No CEO, right? The board is dysfunctional. They're potentially there. The only good thing is they got a really good board person on there right now, Fanny Phillip. I think she's fantastic. She has a lot of experience in Bitcoin mining space. She's on the Bitcoin Mining Council in Canada as well. So that's a great get for them. The thing is we need a CEO and we need Riot off our back. I think that would help the stock, but that's mainly why. Let's see. Fair to say that with operations running at an acceptable level and BTC is at 120 to 150,000, we could reasonably see $40 Riot, $60 Mario, $60 Cleanspark. Yeah, I would think so. Yeah. Let's see. Hi Sebastian, hi chat. A little late to the game, but I did watch your Wolf update. Do you think Wolf has a premium price because of Amazon buying Talon Energy's data centers at the nuclear site? Yeah, that could be partially it, right? The owner there of Terawulf also has, was it Beowulf Energy, right? And they have, I guess, sites across the country where they could possibly get more megawatts if they needed to or something like that. So there's always those connections and synergies possible there for Terawulf, which I think maybe is what investors are looking at. Plus, they're going into AI a little bit, HPC. They're doing a pilot program right now and then getting into a 20 megawatt site for next year, I believe. So that could be the reason there as well. Which miners do you think are next up to the offerings? Which are least likely to do offerings? You mean like ATMs and things like that? I think everybody's well set for this, for at least to where they want to get to this year. Going into next year, depending where Bitcoin is and everything else, they might do some more ATM offerings and things like that just to get to the next level that they want to get to. And eventually, depending where Bitcoin goes, if we have a bear market, they could use the proceeds of the ones that have HODL. They could use that to sell into the bull run to then get cash that they can build out in the bear market potentially, but we don't know. Okay, now let's see. Bitfarms on the TSX is only down 3%, so I think tomorrow when the market opens, it won't be as bad as people are thinking. Okay, yeah, so pretty good. Let's see. Sebastian, can they hire you as CEO of Bitfarms? I will surely buy more shares. Thanks. Yeah, I do not want to be a CEO. I hate traveling, and you would have to travel a lot, and I just hate traveling. Couldn't do it. Plus, I like what I'm doing right now. Easy, no stress. Well, some stress and trying to get the data together, but other than that, I kind of like my life the way it is. Let's see. Question here: Do you know anything about new ASIC manufacturing companies in the U.S. that plan to use 2 nanometer chips? I do not. I think the only one that might be here in the United States would be the one owned by, or not owned by, AREN, which Marathon is invested in quite heavily. I think that's the only one that would be looking to do that. But isn't 2 nanometer down the road not until like 2028, 2030, something like that, if I'm not mistaken? We're only getting into 3 nanometer chips right now. So I think that's still down the road, though. I could be wrong, but I thought that's what I read. Let's see. Danny says, I never thought of dips as healthy. They're healthy in the long run, right? You need dips in order for things to grow. You can't have things going up all the time. You need a little dip, pull things back, bring down the RSI, make it healthy again, and then it can go back up. Let's see. Bent says, currently I'm down 40% in Mara. Do you think I should move my position to other miners like Bitfarms or Riot? Thanks. So you must have bought closer to, what, like the 30s when it peaked? I would possibly dollar cost average. I think it will do much better going forward. We just need Bitcoin to go up in value on that one. But you can possibly do that, or you can sell a portion and get into some of the other ones that are maybe more undervalued currently, like Bitfarms, even Riot. I think Hive is another one there as well. But Hive doesn't have a lot of growth, so be cautious with that one. Digging All Bet says, hit the like button. Yeah, if you guys could hit the like button, that would be great. Let's see. Is there any way to track how miners dilute each day? Would there ever be an end to the dilution? The question is for pure Bitcoin miners like Cleanspark, Bitfarms, IREN. Will there ever be an end of dilution? Not anytime soon, I don't think. And then it all depends on the strategic process that the execs have, right, in the companies. Some companies sell everything, like IREN. Bitfarms hodls something, Cleanspark hodls as well. And then what is their viewpoint on it? Do you hodl forever like Marathon did and Hot 8 did in even the bear market? Right? They were hodling everything. They didn't sell anything, which was crazy. They were diluting users to do that. But they were thinking to be more of a proxy play on Bitcoin, but now you have the ETFs. So, I mean, that's not really needed there. I think the only thing that you want to do now is hodl Bitcoin into the bear markets or into the halving events. So then you can get that appreciation in price of Bitcoin as it goes up 2 to 3x. And then you can sell that in the bull run, use that in the bear market to potentially grow even more, where you're then diluting less. That's kind of the way I would do it possibly. But maybe they have some other things that they could do as well. Let's see. Why didn't they make Fanny the CEO? So Fanny Phillip, yeah, good question. She definitely has the experience there, and maybe she will be. I don't know. But they got her on as a board member there, which is good. Which miners you thought more undervalued and why? There's a couple reasons to that. Let me see if I can pull up this sheet for it so we can take a look at it. One of the things I like to look at is the enterprise value, or I used to use the market cap value to exahash value. But if you look at this one here, excuse me, We can see where the enterprise value per exahash is right now. So that's basically market cap plus debt minus cash minus HODL, right? So we're looking at their hash rate, what they have. What is that valued based on the enterprise value? And you can see here that currently Hive is like the least, most undervalued, right? It's only valued at 39 million per exahash. Whereas you have like Iris being valued at 246 million per exahash, right? That's a huge. But then when you look at future hash rate growth for them, you see that Hive is still pretty low down there, right? Not much growth for them. So, okay, kind of expect that maybe to be the place for them. But then you get like Riot here, Bitfarms, Cleanspark, Iris being down towards the bottom here. Whereas you have Bitdeer, Terawulf, Hut 8, BitDigital that don't have a lot of growth going into this year, some into next year, but these guys are going to be growing more so. So I expect these guys here to potentially flip these guys going into the next 6 to 12 months in value going that way. All right, that's kind of what I'm expecting here. So I'm looking at that. I'm looking at growth as far as hash rate, operations. Do they have good operations, uptime? All of those things go into play here to see which ones are potentially undervalued. And this definitely helps out here as well. But let me know what you think. Okay. Let's see. This morning I heard from a crypto channel that Germany has refused to allow exchanges like Coinbase to buy their Bitcoin. Unfortunately, I can't recall which YouTube channel mentioned this. And that's interesting. I mean, I'm sure the Coinbase, but you have also OTC desks that could possibly buy it as well. I don't know if they're just going to be selling it on the market potentially, but not sure. Mystical Falcon says, Seb, great to have you on our time. Yeah, you know, I can't do these all the time. I work during the day, so it's hard to do these. I would have to do this in my lunch break, but then it would only be like a half an hour stream. At that point, we wouldn't be able to get to you guys' questions anyways. But yeah, I'll try to do these when I can. Maybe on the weekends, I'll try to get these going in the morning more so than, or in the you know, kind of morning to mid afternoon or early morning. No, morning to early afternoon. Sorry. Let's see here. Do you think BitDigital will be the next miner to pump, as a lot of people are talking about it now? It might. I think if they come out saying that they bought at least one set of infrastructure, because I think the reason that they're not being valued right now is they don't own any infrastructure. It's all asset light. They host everything. I think that's, personally, I think that's the only thing that's really keeping the stock down maybe. But we'll see if that gets rectified. That's here. Don't you get concerned when you see so many people acting like 150K the cycle is a certainty? Not really. We have people that are thinking that 250 is still, you know, in play. Some people are saying even 500,000. And the 150, 180K range is actually what I thought was going to be the case for it when I ran the numbers from previous cycles to, you know, next cycles, historical data on it. And I still think that's going to play out. I'm not, if we get more than that, I'll be happy with it, right? But I'm not expecting to go more than that. But we'll see. Yeah, you could be right though. It could be, for a lot of people think 150 is the top. We might top out at 150,000. We'll see. How many shares do you hold of Bitfarms? I hold 20,000 plus of Bitfarms. What will happen to my Bitfarms shares if Riot's able to acquire them? I bought my Bitfarms shares with Canadian dollars, so if the merger is successful, my CAD will become USD. It'll get transferred over to that, right? So yeah, it should be in Canadian at that point. If it's they pay in cash, the USD is going to get exchanged into USD or Canadian for you, and then you're also going to get shares in Riot at that point. Do you know how much Riot dilutes share this year? Well, we only have data for Q1 right now. We really don't have any data for Q2, so it's kind of hard to tell. But based on what we have here for Riot, let me see here. Riot's right there. Okay, let's take a look at it. So Riot right now has 271 million shares. This was as of the reporting of Q1. If we scroll down here, 271, they had 253 at the end of fiscal year 2023. So that was at the end of the year. So they went up 7.2%. Last year, they diluted, it looks like 51%, it looks like, of the company in 2023. So there's your dilution right there on it right now. Okay. Let's see. I bought Riot around 12. Should I switch my position to IREN, CORZ, or Bitfarms? Okay, CORZ has had a nice run up. IREN as well. I think Riot is still more undervalued than those companies are right now. Okay. Bitfarms, I think, is more undervalued than Riot is. So then there's your quandary. Which one do you really get into? Do you stay in Riot or do you get into a little bit of Bitfarms? Do you, I mean, $12 is not that bad. So you're down, what is that, 30% or something like that right now from Riot or something like that. I would maybe dollar cost average into it because I think if they continue to fix their operations and have much better uptime and things like that, continue to grow, they're going to do pretty well going forward as well. Michael says, don't invest lump sum, guys. You're turning yourself into exit liquidity, dollar cost average with double down system. Yeah, I would agree with that. That's kind of what I've done here over the last 2 years. And that's actually worked out pretty well. But you need to have a longer time frame mentality, I guess. If you're trying to do quick swings, it's tough to time the bottom on these guys and when they go up and things like that. Let's see. Don't all thinks BTC likely will top around 80,000. Are you concerned that BTC may top much lower than you expect and that you may repeat the mistake from last cycle by holding onto your bags? I don't think we're going to top out at 80,000. That would be, I mean, that would change Bitcoin, I think, forever at that point. If we only top out at 80 from the previous high of 69,000, we only went up 11,000 in the bull run. Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. Mainly because I also think that the institutions, the ETFs, all of those guys are going to want to make bank, right? And they're not going to make bank on it from having Bitcoin go only up to 80,000. They're going to pump that BTC up as much as they can in order to get the fees and everything else from investors on it. And they want to get as many people into Bitcoin as possible because they want to make a lot of money on it. So for that reason, I don't think that's going to be the case. Let's see. What state do you live in and what time is it? You're from the UK. Hi from UK. It is 1:16. I live in this, well, I'll maybe not say the great state, but I live in Illinois. We have our issues here. Let's see. Okay. In the enterprise value per exahash sheet, should we read the graph top to bottom or the number indicates the order? Thank you for all the info. So on that one, let's go back to that one here. Let me go over there. Where's it at? There it is. Okay. So on this one, I mean, you really want to read it from top to bottom as far as most undervalued for current hash rate to most overvalued, right? What's the way you're looking at it is how is the miner being valued on their exahash, right? Iris is being valued the most right now per their exahash. Then you have, when you look forward in the future hash rate, this is kind of how can I put it? You're looking at their future hash rate. So wherever their hash rate is at right now, where will it be in the future? Basically what they reported as being bought in, and then where are they being valued at that point, right? At that point, if you look at that, you can see here that they're being valued, like Bitdeer is being valued a heck of a lot more than Iris is doing right now, right? Iris has got more growth. Bitdeer has less growth, but if you look at that way, you can see that they are way overvalued here right now, along with Terawulf, Hut 8, Bit Digital, Marathon. Marathon is kind of fairly valued, I think. CORZ, same thing, Cypher, and then you got Iris down here, Cleanspark, Bitfarms. Those guys are all way undervalued for future hash rate growth that they have. So they have a lot more growth in hash rate wise. And then you can see the difference here between where they are currently and where they are going to be for future hash rate values. You can see Iris is, down 164 million from where it is right now to future hash rate value. And then you got also Cleanspark down 87 million, Bitfarms down 50 million. So those are the ones that I look at to see if they still have a lot of potential going into the next 6 to 12 months potentially. Okay, hopefully that explains it. Let's see. David says, David, thanks for going live at this time. First time I'm able to keep watching live, watching from Bratislava. Appreciate very much your work. Very valuable. Thanks for doing it for us. You're very welcome. And yeah, thanks for coming in. Let's see. Did you vote today? Vote where? On what? I'm not sure. I wasn't aware that we're supposed to vote today. Let's see. David says, thank you for all you do for us. Please explain why Bitcoin is better than any other altcoins, why Bitcoin should be the one. I struggle to find strong arguments for this. Thanks. Okay, so there's a couple arguments for that. You could say the reason that Bitcoin should be the one is because the creator that created it gave it to basically all of us, right? So it was never pre-mined. It was never staked or anything like that, or whatever you want to call it. But it was just basically given out to the public. The creator then went away for whatever reason and left it to us. So it's basically to the public domain. And then we do have developers that are kind of trying to improve it, right? And that's with consensus of everybody involved in it. So the miners, people that have Bitcoin, all those things, right? Get involved in that. You also only have 21 million supply of it. Other coins can do the same thing, but Bitcoin being the first one to do it, it's kind of like the granddaddy of them all. The timing or the transaction, number of transactions per second is pretty bad. That's why we have like Lightning Network and things like that. You also have the most miners or ASICs securing the network as well, right? Nobody else, no other altcoin has that. So it has all that going for it. You also have now the adoption of institutions and countries and things like that. That's just giving it more and more adoption, more confidence, more. I'm trying to think of another adjective for it, but just more concrete stability in the form of the way it works, right? So I think that's why. Let's see. It's so hard to pick the horse that'll go up the most. Yeah, X's. It is. So you kind of have to see which one's kind of the most undervalued, and then could that possibly swap out later on, right? Where you have the rotation from some of the miners that have done really well to some of the miners that haven't done really well. That could do really well going forward. When this miner cycle is over, what other stocks will you looking into, like in the 5 years plus? Oh, at that point, we'll be looking at, gosh, a company that I probably would like to get into would be like SpaceX, if they ever go public. That would be one I would want to get into. Maybe not in the beginning. We'll have to see what the valuation is on it, where the stock comes in at. But that would be one I want to get into. Maybe even Tesla also. Tesla has so many things going on, depending where its value later on. Rivian, same thing. Anything possibly having to do with robotics, things like that. I think that's going to be the future. Things like that, I think. We'll have to see. Okay. Andrea, thank you. Yes, please smash the like button if you guys enjoy this. And then, what do you think about Griffin Digital Mining future? Thanks for all the videos analysis. You're very welcome. Griffin is also one of the smaller miners. They have, what do they have, 800, 900 petahash to their belt right now, hashing. They're also very asset light as well. I don't know. We'll have to keep an eye on them. Will they go up in price? Will Bitcoin going up in price? Yes, they'll go up in value as well. Can the CEO there do good things potentially going forward? Potentially, right? He wants to merge with other smaller companies, private companies as well, to do deals like that. If he pulls it off, he might be able to grow the hash rate there, right? I think their target was like 10x the hash in the next year or so. I think that's what he wanted to get to by doing these kind of deals. So we'll see if we can do that. But yeah, that is it. All right, guys, I think we're going to call it a day here. We're going on almost an hour and a half here of video and chat and everything else. So I greatly do appreciate you guys coming in here. And I think I just saw a couple more things coming up here. Yeah, we have a couple more. Okay. I'll get through these 3 questions and then we'll call it a day here. Jen Pell, question. I don't like McNally's show. They get paid by Riot to pump the Riot shares. That's why I like that you refuse to interview CEOs on your channel. Thanks. I mean, the interviews are interesting there, right? You may not like the fact that they're getting paid by it. They're being paid to basically promote. No, I wouldn't say promote. I would just say it might be a little bit of promote, right? To put out information about the companies and things like that, to do interviews. But the reason I don't do interviews also is, one, to kind of keep a separation between them, between me and myself and the companies as much as I can. I will be probably going down to Nashville later on this month. I will probably meet a couple of those CEOs there as well. But I don't want to get paid by them. It's just kind of where I draw the line more so than anything else. And the other thing is, I don't have the time to, I work full time, so I don't have the time during the day to sit down and talk to the CEOs as well. But that's kind of the reason I don't do it. But I greatly like McNally and Anthony. I think Anthony does a lot of great work in this space as well. And he's done some things also to make it more transparent for us. By talking to the CEOs there, he's trying to get it more uniform, where all the data is, consistent between miner to miner and all that stuff. So I think he's doing a lot of good there. Let's see. Ed says, I think most Bitcoiners will relocate their profits to Tesla. I'm going for Costco shares. There you go. Let's see here. First time watching you live. Like your videos because of you. I started buying miners. Thanks to European Macedonia. Oh, awesome. Cool. Thanks for coming in. Let's see. What's your first choice? Excuse me. What's your first choice of trading platforms? I've been hating on all the stocks since 1996, but I'm thinking about buying. I sold my truck and had 16 sitting on debit card. I've been using, depending what you're trading. If you're trading coins, altcoins, or Bitcoin and things like that, I like Coinbase. I've used them for a long time. If you're doing stocks, I've been using Webull. I like the applications that they have for the desktop and things like that, which are really good actually. So I use that one, but you can use any of them. E-Trade, Schwab. What's the other one? There's also another one. I can't think of the name right now, but there's a bunch of them out there. Let's see. Catching the live stream for the first time. Thanks live for everything you do. Big fan. Appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, last question here. Is it possible IREN will perform the best in this cycle? It's possible if they can continue to grow out the way they are. If they provide more guidance for next year, getting to like 50 exahash or 60 exahash, who knows, right? So it could be. It could be definitely possible. All right, last one here. Coinbase wouldn't take my money. Okay. You could also try, what's the other one? Gemini. Gemini was the Winklevoss twins, I think. They own that. Try that one out, potentially. But all right, we'll call it a day here, guys. Thank you again so much for coming in to watch this. Greatly appreciate you guys. Always love having you guys questions. Makes me think, which I love. And then we'll see what happens tomorrow. Tomorrow the markets will be back open. What else will happen? We'll see where Bitcoin goes. We'll see how the miners do. And then, Ed, thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate it. What else is going on? We'll see who else reports. I think we have a couple more companies that need to report their May updates. We'll do that. We'll get through all that stuff here. But for those of you that are celebrating 4th of July, make it a safe one. Don't blow off your fingers if you're playing with fireworks. And have a great day. I'll see you guys in the next one.